Hello.
Hi, everyone here, whether you're live joining us or you watch the recording later, welcome again to the July 2021 Glass Reflections. My name is Jenna. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the Operations and Programs Manager for the Glass Art Society. I'm coming to you live from my own home in Phoenix, Arizona. And for those who might be new to this program, this is an informal conversation we have on our Instagram account. Every Thursday, we go live with various artists, educators, curators, etc., and talk about the resiliency of glass artists and how glass can be a vehicle to explore self-care and overall well-being. With that said, I am super excited for our guest today, Elizabeth Ann Potter. And Anne discovered glass in 2016 and in 2018 attended a workshop at Pilchuck Glass School, where she became the first artist to use a wheelchair to attend a session at Pilchuck. Amazing. Anne is a resident artist in Pilchuck's 2021 Summer Residency Series and is currently curating 2 exhibitions in 2021, one at the Pilchuck Gallery and the other at the Seattle Glassblowing Studio in partnership with the Glass Art Society for the annual Refract, the nation's newest festival showcasing creative use of glass in the Pacific Northwest. So with that brief interview, hello and welcome, Anne.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
It's not as hot as it was earlier in the week, so that is good.
Yes, so thankful the heat wave did not inhibit, this conversation, because I'm sure that's very distracting.
It is, especially when you live in a building that is concrete based.
Ooh.
It holds heat really well.
Well, I'm glad to hear you're doing all right.
Thank you.
Is there anything else you would like to share about who you are or where you come from with those who are joining?
I have been in the creative process ever since I was a small child, gathering pine cones from my next door neighbor and putting them together with glitter and selling them for Christmas.
Nice.
So that was my start in arts, and I have explored just about everything: woodworking, ceramics, working with metal, textile, and I really love when I'm able to take all of my past experiences and roll them into glass. They do translate, believe it or not. Even my work with fabric oftentimes is inspiring to, can I make glass look like a piece of fabric? So I really am appreciative of the fact that I've had this long history of just trying various things and then bringing it to glass.
Mm-hmm. I love that kind of, it seems also almost an inherent interdisciplinary aspect of glass, of whether it's actually using materials from other sources or mediums and combining that with glass or using it as inspiration for glass. I think that's something that's really interesting. In particular, even just using pine cones or like found materials, I think could be really interesting with the unique material and medium that is glass.
Definitely.
And that being said, I actually would love to hear a little bit more. So how did your relationship with glass begin after, as a child kind of dabbling in various other mediums? What led you to glass?
I learned many of my textile arts from my family. I learned how to tat lace and do all sorts of skills that are now lost as we get into the modern age. And it just, I love art, and I just had this large desire just to continue trying various and sundry aspects of it. And I spent before I got into glass, I had spent the last almost 20 years doing a lot of textile work and doing like sacred hangings for churches. I had a big installation here in Seattle at St. Mark's Cathedral up on Capitol Hill of fabric art for the Advent season. But then I discovered that I had really sort of burned myself out. I was just feeling very uninspired. I wasn't getting the stimulation of that creativity that you get excited about. Like, oh, I want to go do that, or this inspires me. I really got myself into a rut. And I decided, heck, I'm in Seattle and it's, one of the glass capitals of the world. Why not try glass? And I was really disappointed because I went to studio after studio, wanting to know if I could at least take, an introductory class or, a make your own type of thing. And everybody turned me down except the last place I went to, which was Seattle Glassblowing Studio. And I have to say, they were supportive from the minute I walked into the door. No problem, even in a wheelchair. And I'm going, okay. And luckily, I met my first instructor, Bill Passmore, who is up at Pilchuck right now doing a summer residency. He was sort of like, okay, we'll make this work. And I really love the fact that he did not see obstacles. He just saw challenges. And it was really delightful to not have anybody tell me, you can't do it. We can't do this. We can't do that. We talked about making exceptions because there's things I can't do. That's just part of my disability. But it was sort of like, okay, I can do this, you can do that. And I love the teamwork that grew out of that, that I had somebody, I didn't have to do it all myself. There was somebody there who was willing to, be that extra pair of hands, dip into the furnace for me. All of those things. And it was just, it was like I was reborn. I really like the feeling of, I can't wait till the next time I go in. And I started out doing weekend workshops, and then I just decided I had to take the plunge. And unfortunately, Bill was further north and he had to travel down. But Seattle Glassblowing Studio had a glassblower, Philip Hitchcock, who many people know as Swede, was there. And we had picked him up as just sort of an assistant when I started needing more hands. And I finally said, I really want to focus on learning everything from the ground up in glassblowing. And Bill knew that, the commute and everything was hard, but Philip was right there. And we bonded. And that was the start of a beautiful relationship. And the fact that he had studied in Sweden, he graduated from the Orfors Glass School. He brought techniques that really helped me adapting to doing glass in a different way. And I can remember the one time I really wanted to blow a bubble. And traditionally, people stand when they're blowing bubbles. I can't. And he sat there and literally took apart every single step of how do we blow a bubble. And then we put it together in a way that would work for me. And, having a teacher who is willing to really take the time to look at how traditional glass blowing is done, and then, okay, how can we modify this so I can increase my skills? So it was really, there was lots of learning, lots of things that didn't go well. No, that's not going to work. But it was exciting. It really, mesmerized me, and going, okay, I can do this. And every time I can remember the first time I blew a bubble.
Yeah.
It was one of those life-changing experiences. It's like, wow, I did it.
Yeah.
And, there is something magical about being able to manipulate, glass, which is so fluid, on your own. And the more I learned and the more I could do, I just, I'm in love with glass. I'll admit it.
Yeah. Talk about a total, 180 from that kind of lack of a spark, or, that like passion that like drives your creativity, like total 180.
Yeah. No, he was so instrumental in working with me, talking about new techniques. We discovered things. Doing overlays was initially difficult for me, so we used a Swedish method that worked just as well. But I use my tag as a marver, because going back and forth to the marver is not something that's easy for me. And working in a busy studio, it's also a safety hazard for those around. So it was, knowing, okay, if the studio's empty, I have more space and more freedom to do what I want. And when it was busy, I relied on Philip. And I was really disappointed when he went to Denmark to study for 3 years at, I can't remember the exact name, but it's the Danish university that has a glass blowing school. So he's in his final year coming up in September. So I'm hoping he's going to come back to the United States.
Yeah, we might
so
we can have a conversation with him, see what he's now doing, and to share just how to make studios more accessible. And I actually, because there's so many things for us to talk about, but I wanted to highlight in particular your relationship as well with the Glass Art Society, and how for the recent virtual 2021 conference, you were actually a part of our accessibility panel and talked about how studios, while there were some technical difficulties, how we can make studios more accessible. And it sounds like having teachers who are patient and kind of have like an open communication and can start that dialogue is crucial to making a shift in studio practice and have it be more welcoming.
Definitely. Seattle Glassblowing Studio went through a renovation, and their studio is much more accessible now. And recently, and believe me, I was going, why did it take me so long? I always had problems getting in their bathroom door. And then I was going, what if we had the door swing the other way?
Yeah.
And just changing the swing of the door, it was like, it doesn't meet ADA standards exactly, but for me, I can get in and out without a lot of, squeezing through there. So there are things that can be done in studios that are cost effective. Changing the swing of the door is not cost prohibitive. So there's a lot of things that studios can do. And I was so happy that the Glass Art Society is stepping up and wanting to, sponsor a panel about accessibility, and hopefully, help further those of us who do have disabilities to become a more visible part of the glass world. A lot of times, you know, we're over here in our little niche.
Mm-hmm.
And I was absolutely thrilled that the dialogues have started, and I really want to continue. And the other thing you talked about is having teachers who are willing to work with you. When Philip left, Hugh Willa took over as my instructor, and we have modified things. And, you know, he also, like Philip, pushes me to, you know, expand. And sometimes, you know, it doesn't work, but heck,
Yeah,
you know, it happens. And it was sort of like learning when your first piece falls off the pipe. You don't worry about it. You know, okay, what was good about it? Well, I like the color. Let's do the color again, or the shape, and just move on. And it's a learning experience.
Mm-hmm.
So I have really been blessed. And I also have been sort of mentored by Ed Schmidt, who I met early on, and he was the instructor who allowed me to take the class at Pilchuck, you know, allowed me into that class. So I've really had some, you know, really good luck in finding a supportive teaching community that really doesn't see any problems, you know, or, okay, we treat it like you know, if you're blowing something in glass and you want to do it, sometimes you have to problem solve. Mm-hmm. And that's how this group of people looks at my disability. Okay, we have a problem. How do we solve it? Mm-hmm. You know, maybe we don't. Sometimes we get very...
Sorry to cut, because I want to make sure I answer. Someone asked a question. Would you mind saying Philip's full name again so people can find him?
Philip Hitchcock, and it's Hickok. He goes by Swede, and you can find him on Instagram under Swede. SWEDE. And he makes fabulous glass.
I'll do some fun Instagram strolling after this. And then another thing, speaking of things that are happening, especially around the Seattle community, you're curating 2 exciting exhibitions that are coming up. One that's happening at Pilchuck between September and October, and it's called Conquering the Challenge. Could you maybe tell us what this exhibition is about?
It is honoring a number of glass blowers or people who work with glass, you know, whatever medium of glass they want to work with, stained glass, mosaics, any of that, who have overcome the challenge to work successfully in glass. They weren't defeated by the challenges that are, you know, put in front of them. Sometimes it's, I can't use a certain tool to do something. I can't, you know, pull glass from a furnace. So it's to honor the people, a group of people who have conquered those challenges, and it's portraying their stories, and it is also honoring those who have supported them in making that reality happen for them. And you can tell I get choked up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it'll be absolutely amazing. And I'm curious to hear, so for the folks that are able to be a part of that, it sounds so it's both artists and then teachers and maybe like some dialogue around that. Could you explain then the next exhibit that you're working on, which is the Reflecting Diversity through Refract, that us at the Glass Art Society, you, and then Seattle Glassblowing Studio, what brought about that partnership and that exhibition?
That actually happened before I became involved with the Pilchuck window in downtown Seattle. I had talked to Serena, who is one of the studio managers, about it would really be nice if this year we did something to reflect people who normally don't, wind up getting glass exhibits. Lots of times we think of, all the prominent glass blowers and, people who have names that we are aware of. And it's like, it would really be nice to honor a group who is underrepresented. Underrepresented. And the nice thing about it is it dovetailed so nicely with the work with the Pilchuck.
Mm-hmm.
And Chris Taylor and Ben Wilson at Pilchuck, we decided that we're just going to sort of cross-pollinate the exhibits because there's similarities to them. So there'll be a thread that runs that way. And I'm really excited that one of the people and I'm going to let the cat out of the bag, so to speak. Kat Burns is going to be sending a piece from Blown Away.
That's amazing.
Yes, and Scout, who was on the panel, the accessibility, is also going to be involved. So I am absolutely thrilled because both of those people have very compelling stories and they're very different. I know one of our people is hearing impaired that will be part of the exhibit. So I'm just, and what I read when I read the applications that I've seen so far, their stories are so compelling about what glass has done for them. It really has inspired them. And I think in a lot of ways, when you have something that you're so passionate about, it helps deal with whatever disability you're having. You can get lost in that creative process and forget about the fact that, I'm in a wheelchair. I would really like to go somewhere, but I rely on public transportation. All of those things that are sometimes daily problems for those who have various disabilities seems to just melt away when you're working with glass and being creative. So yeah, I am absolutely thrilled that we're going to be able to honor these people and give them a platform and give them a voice.
Speaking of, at least for the Reflecting Diversity exhibit, so those applications are still open, and to anyone interested, they close this Sunday night. So if you're interested, please submit an application. And for those who might be interested, Anne, do you have any suggestions or advice for people who haven't submitted yet?
Get online and do it quickly. No, we want to have people's stories, and I would love to have a huge turnout. But I also realize that this is the first time, because I did my research, there has never been this type of exhibits done in the U.S. for people with disabilities in the glass community that I was able to find. So finding the people has been a little bit of a challenge, and I've had to reach out and, sort of contact people via email or say, would you be interested? But when I start that conversation, you can tell, oh, wow, really? Somebody like me, I have a platform. So, we're going to be small and mighty.
I would also love to kind of expand the conversation. So you kind of were in this world living as an artist, and recently you kind of shifted into this curator, gathering other artists together. What kind of led you to that shift, or what inspired you to start curating and being a part of the exhibition process?
The long and short of it was 2 people asked me.
I'll do it.
And it was sort of like, okay, I haven't done this before, but in talking to them, I know I have good support from Seattle Glassblowing, and Pilchuck has been absolutely wonderful in their support. And it's like, okay, it's just another learning experience for me. And the fact that it touches on something I'm so passionate about, and, you know, is allowing the world to see glass through those of us who, you know, it took a lot to get into the world of glass. It was not easy. We've had a lot of doors closed in our face, a lot of, no, you're a liability. So for me, that was really the draw, when I could, you know, sort of name how I wanted the exhibits to go. So I'm very thankful to all of those people who have been so supportive, and actually, you know, really happy, including the Glass Art Society, who, you know, is helping promote this and do all of that. It's just fantastic. And I'm hoping the ball will keep rolling forward.
Absolutely. And so for anyone looking for more information for the reflecting, I keep messing up reflecting and refract. Those two words just keep jungle in my brain. But the Reflecting Diversity exhibit, those applications and the information you can find on our website at glassart.org. So feel free to learn more there. And we have a little bit of time remaining, but I did also just want to highlight that you have spoken about your artistic and glass journey through written form as well. And you actually were published in the 16th annual Women in Glass issue of The Flow, and appeared in the spring 2021 issue of The Flow as well. And I'd be curious to hear what that experience like, having now kind of verbally explained your journey and then express that in written form.
I have always enjoyed writing and journaling. It's been part of who I am. So it was just sort of a offshoot of it, and I really felt compelled to write about my journey. So that was sort of the starting point for all of this that has happened since then, was when The Flow decided that they were going to publish my story about my journey with, you know, Bill and Philip and Hugh and Ed. And I was absolutely delighted. And, you know, I think some people were surprised, you know, by the fact that there are glass blowers who have disabilities who blow glass. So it's opened, I think, some people's eyes that the world of glass is bigger than I think some people thought. I know for a long time, you know, people looked to the Italian males. You know, it was very sort of inclusive, and it has grown so much to create, you know, a space for people of all sorts of abilities and backgrounds to come and express themselves. And art, you know, art is an expression, and you don't need to speak a language. You can look at it, you know. It doesn't really need interpretation.
Yeah. There was, in particular, I just found one really lovely statement that you made in your piece, which was creating works of art from hot glass so intimately, using my hands, my breath, and my sense of wonderment, has allowed for forms of expressions that I did not have in the past. And the journey has allowed for the healing of a stagnant creative process. The healing comes from the fact that even facing health issues, working with glass leaves me feeling alive in the present moment, all of which is priceless and timeless. Whew. Talk about, like, words have such meaning. That was really beautiful, and I was
Thank you.
I really loved reading your piece. If others haven't read it yet, you should definitely go take a look. And I also, at this point, would like to leave a little space for some folks who are here. If you have any questions for Anne, feel free to type them in the Q&A or in the comment section. And we'd love to hear from some of you that are here. I know someone asked earlier about the exhibition, which we already talked about. So if you have additional follow-up questions, you may ask it. Sometimes being put on the spot, people don't necessarily have something to ask. But if something comes up,
okay,
to type it in, or if you wanted some time to sit and think about these topics that we've talked about, you can email me at jenna@glassart.org, or you can email Anne, and we'll answer any of the questions that you might have. Anne, is there anything else you would like to share with those that are here and will watch the recording later?
Just that I am happy to have this opportunity to, talk about glass, one of my favorite topics, but also to really advocate and make the community aware of, a part of the glassblowing community that has really sort of been, tucked to the side or not as noticeable, and that we have a lot to offer the community. And we might make it a little more challenging, but glass blowing is challenging on its own. So what's another challenge?
I completely agree. And I think there's something really valuable to just the inherent nature of the studio being kind of a community effort anyways. Like, there are usually, from my experience at least, a lot of people that are there, and it seems to be like a team effort. I know Scout had mentioned that kind of team camaraderie during the accessibility panel at the conference, and I think there's a lot of opportunity to kind of build on that momentum of teamwork and using each other in various, like, maybe more creative ways.
Definitely.
Oh, got a question. Okay. Oh, Anne, will you share what is your Instagram?
It's Seattle_Lotus_glass. And
then after we finish this chat, this video will be saved to the Glass Art Society Instagram account. And as always, we'll upload it to both our YouTube and our website, and Anne's information will be there as well. So multiple avenues and platforms to connect again.
You can also reach me through Seattle Glassblowing Studio. They know where to track me down.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It was a pleasure hearing from you about your journey, both the positive and exciting moments, as well as some of those more challenging ones. And I'm thrilled that we are partnering for the Reflecting Diversity exhibition coming up in October, November. Again, a plug for everyone. If you haven't already submitted application, please do, or visit the website to learn more. And then we'll also be following your exhibit, Conquering the Challenge with Pilchuck.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the platform today.
Absolutely. All right, we will talk soon.
Okay.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks for being here.